Hey yo, what's up with y'all? How y'all doing? In today's video, we're going to break down pro players' fights and find out why they always end up on top. This video is for the people that hit a skill gap and that just can't figure out what's going on with them. Also, I will break down some of their most gate-kept secrets. So just know by the end of this video, you will learn some valuable stuff. And your fighting skills will go from this to this. But without any further ado, let's get inside! First, let's start with Peterbot. He's a 4x FNCS winner, and right now he's one of the most dominant players to ever touch the game. And I'll be breaking into one of the fights he had in the solo cash cup, and this fight was against Yusuf, another pro player. Alright, so as Peterbot approaches this fight, he knows his opponent could be in a cone. In cups like this, most people are. Also know, just because you can't see anybody doesn't mean anybody can't see you. So be ready to pull your map out at any time. And as you can see, he saved himself from getting tagged a little bit. But when he did get tagged, look at what he does next. He goes for his heals. If you can, in the beginning of a fight, if you get tagged for a lot, go for your heals. You want to always have your heals on standby. There's no shame in trying to heal mid-fight. But as you can see, after he quickly heals, he goes on to keep up the pressure as fast as possible. But I want you to notice something. As soon as he dropped down, look at how he steps back. He walks back far enough so his opponent won't be able to make a play as he's breaking the wall. And as you can see, the weaker the wall is, the closer he will get to it. And that way he can claim the wall without being in a bad spot for too long. But then he goes up and tries to break his builds from above. Notice how he puts a wall to block off the angles around the cone. And now his opponent doesn't have that many options. And also notice how he's strafing to the side and not just standing still. And that way he won't be an easy shot and he won't be as predictable. But look at what he does next after he breaks the cone. He placed the wall to his left, that way he has a right hand peek when he's trying to break the floor. And notice how he used his shotgun to break the freshly resetted floor and not his pickaxe. He also shot the wall and replaced it, but it didn't show in the replays. Keep in mind, the Sentinel shotgun does a crazy amount of damage to freshly reset builds, so I recommend you to shoot as many weak walls as possible. And then they trade and he goes for his heals once again. Later he drops on his wall, hits it one time, and then builds a ramp, cone, and wall. Now he can somewhat see through the wall, and that's all he needs. And this allows him to see through the wall just a little bit. Also notice how he's lining up his crosshair at the wall while holding a ramp at it. Notice how he keeps his crosshair directly at the wall. And then he waits until it's safe enough for him to fully break the wall. He also covered his angles in this fight to make sure he wouldn't get third party. He does a safe peanut butter edit and then does a quick map reset. He also makes a safe window edit to break out the ramp that he placed. But see how he's not too focused on the ramp and pulls out a shotgun? Remember, just because you're replacing their builds doesn't mean they can't be replacing your builds at the same time. So you want to keep that in mind. Don't lock on and just replacing their builds. You're just as vulnerable as them. Also notice how he prepares for his wall to get shot out and goes for a pre-fire as he takes his wall. He misses the pre-fire, he doesn't have the wall, so he resets his ramp. Remind you, he was planning to reset this ramp from the beginning. He edits out the side, but he grabs his ramp and then lines up a shot off of a brand new peanut butter. It's always best to be quick to edit and reset builds when the player is already looking at you. You don't want to take your time and line up a perfect shot because you will get shot and the fight will turn against you. And then he backs up to make space because he sees the player approaching. And then they both try to predict and pre-fire each other. It's a mix of pumping and pickaxing to steal walls, or waiting to pre-fire from a failed pre-fire after the wall breaks to get a free shot. Also notice how he phases builds in with any chance that he gets. That also allows him to get on his wall and break it from a nice safe angle. And while he's distracted breaking the ramp, he tries to get the wall right in front of him to get a nice shot and end the fight. Also notice how he stays on the left side. Once again, his opponent resets another build, which makes it one shot and also stealable. So he puts a cone and then hugs the left side again. If you didn't know, hugging the left side of anything automatically gives you the right hand peek. And as you can see, he's trying to use his guns to break the wall from a distance and claim it so he can make a wide edit. He tried to break the cone after he made an edit and put a ramp, but of course the game bugged out and nothing placed at all. Notice how he doesn't take long to heal to keep up the momentum. And like I said earlier, just because you can't see them doesn't mean they can't see you. And that's exactly why he's pump baiting. Notice how he's keeping track of his opponent and remembering what's left open and what's not. His pump shotgun is always his first gun out and it's always on standby. Notice how he instantly claims builds as fast as he can, and that way he has more control before the fight even starts. Okay, before we continue, I want you to notice something. I make this mistake a lot and I'm pretty sure most of y'all do too. Did you see that? If you don't know where the player is and you're waiting for them to pop up, it's going to be a 50-50 and most likely it's going to end in their favor because desync is terrible. So if you know where somebody is, or you know where somebody's going to be at, you want to build first. You don't want to shoot then build. Because if you shoot then build, most likely they'll get more damage. Yeah, you will get the wall, but you will trade damage, and then you both will be weak. And it's even worse if you miss. But notice what he did. He built first, waited until he shot, edited, and then shot him. And that way he stopped the whole 50-50. But notice how his opponent dies to that same mistake. If he would have did the exact same thing Peterbot did, he would have been able to take a free shot on him. But instead he just shot. And let's say he did try to build. It would already be too late because he doesn't have enough HP to live. Next up we have clips from a high kill solo cash cup game. These are from a pro player called Rapid. He also won first place in this cash cup too. As you can see in the beginning of this clip, he just goes for an insta edit. Notice how he positions his body to face the player before he makes the edit. And how he doesn't flick his crosshair too hard when making the edit. Then he runs up to the wall and tries to predict the pre-fire, thinking that they're going to edit out of desperation. And then he does this beautiful side jump with the wall and a nice window edit and cone. And this was only possible because he sprinted. Normally you can't get up that high. And not long after that, somebody else was on his wall. Notice how he baited to heal to get his opponent to try to break his wall. He does a perfect instant reset, and then he tries to box him up some more, but he doesn't quite get it. And then he does some quick 90s to get up to height really fast to finish off the kill. Now I bet you're wondering, these are some fast fights. How did he end these fights so fast? And it's all about being unexperienced. When you're fighting an inexperienced player, they're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And if you know how to spot those mistakes and you know how to capitalize on them and execute really well, you should be able to kill these type of players really fast. And I'm only telling you this because I don't want you to make these same mistakes. First of all, you don't want to drop on the wall without expecting someone to insta edit. Secondly, if he was gonna drop on his wall, he should have hugged the right side of it and not really stand directly in the middle, you know? He also should have been ready to shoot and also put a ramp on top of him. Next mistake, you don't want to ever just barrel stuff a wall, especially if you don't know how much HP they have. You don't want to be spraying up on the wall or have your pump all up on the wall trying to get in. You're just asking to be pre-fired. Also, you don't want to approach a box without making somewhat of your own box first. You see how the only thing he owned was a cone? That's not enough to protect you. If you do an approach like this, you're always going to take damage or die. This next fight is a good example of ASIC control. Notice how he got good opening damage and applies pressure. Now stop, look right here. You see, after he faced builds in, his opponent had nowhere else to go. He had to get out the box. And the clear sign to see where somebody's going is when they make an edit. And as you can see, he edits to your right, that means he's going to go out to the right. So he follows, and notice how he goes for the cone and not the wall. That's because you can place cones further than walls, and most people tend to jump up to make a new box and not just go out to make a box. He got the cone first, then he got the walls, but not too long after, there was another person. Also, I want you to note, when he messes up, he automatically boxes up, because if you continue to build fight and you don't know where the person is, they could get free shots on you. And to stop yourself from being in the unknown, you box up and reset the fight. It doesn't matter if the fight just started. You don't know where they are. Reset, find them again, and continue to fight. This next fight is a good example of defensive healing. You see, when he took damage, he made sure to make a bunch of boxes to make sure he had enough space so he could heal without any interruptions. If you can't make boxes fast and make a lot of space for yourself, then I recommend you practicing creative. And right here he goes for an insta edit because you need to trade in order to get your heals off. You can't just keep making boxes, you have to make them heal. You have to give them a reason to leave you alone. And then he finishes the fight off with a nice protective edit. But I want you to notice how his gun is already lined up at the person before he even makes the edit. Having good crosshair placement allows you to shoot your gun faster. He also does the exact same trick again, and it works like a charm. They all fall for it. Don't ever overextend yourself trying to finish a kill, because a good player will always turn it against you. This next and last fight from Rapid won't be as easy. He starts off with ASIC control, putting cones and floors in the possible areas that he could go. Putting cones in all of his possible directions is a must. Notice how it almost created an opening for him. He double layered it down, but his opponent put down a ramp and cut him off. And then he dropped down and did a double pickaxe swing, which is very dangerous. Something that he's been doing the whole time. He should know how dangerous this is. Don't know why he did that. Also, when he got on his wall, he did not cover his top. Something you never want to do because look. You see how his opponent took control of the fight? He turned it all the way around, and I'm not gonna lie, he's supposed to die right here. Notice how he does a bait edit? He edits and resets on purpose so he can miss his shot, which is very smart because you don't want to do any edits while somebody's looking at you without at least doing a bait edit first. He also could have died right here too, but his opponent was too slow to execute. Notice how he wastes no time to put a ramp on his back, and then he waits for his opponent to drop because his opponent is probably being the most predictable he's probably ever been. So remember, if somebody's following you in a predictable way, take your time and line up a shot. In other words, continue to move around. That's why he sprints out and goes on top of the box. Pay attention to how he can't make a box right here or set up a proper peak, so he goes back one and then sets up a proper peak. But notice this trick. He pickaxed the wall one time and then pulled out his shotgun and shot. This is one of the most overpowered moves ever, I'm not gonna lie to you. You mainly want to use this move when people are not looking at you or when they're trying to go somewhere. One person I see that does this move a lot is Reed. He always does this. So if you see a weak wall just like this, I suggest you take your chances. You just pickaxe one time, pull out your gun and shoot. You don't worry about building or nothing else like that. You just break, shoot. And then he ends off the fight with a basic mongrel, and we're gonna end Rapid's gameplay off with that. Before we continue, don't forget to use code Frizzy in the Fortnite item shop before purchasing any cosmetic items. Yeah, I got y'all this time. These next clips will be by Boltznada. This is his first gameplay from a solo cash cup win. He got first place and he was being nothing but aggressive. Okay, now it's time for the first official fight. Notice how he reacts to his opponent doing a double pickaxe swing and he gets a free shot. Then he uses his pump to break all the weak builds. Every time his opponent placed a wall, he was already spraying or shooting it to take it, and that way he can still claim the builds while they're still weak. Shoot claim, spray claim, really fast. Pump take, face builds. Spray take, face builds, and yeah, easy kill. Once his opponent made that first mistake, he couldn't come back from it. Then as he was leaving, somebody else came back to the dead body. Notice how he sees his opponent going up one way, and he decides to stick strongly to the other side. Of course, his opponent built up, and he's wide open on his side. And since he's wide open, those builds are easy to claim. So he takes those, then he focused on getting the builds to his side and not above him. And notice how he does a peanut butter and not a wide edit. Then he just continues to hawk him down. He's basically just covering the area and claiming territory bit by bit, while also trying to look for angles. This next trick that he's about to do is what I like to call a centerpiece. If you're breaking into a box and you see that there's no walls in there, once you break in that box, you want to try your best to claim the wall right in front of them. I want you to skip putting walls in between each other first. Just go for the nearest wall near them as fast as possible, and that's centerpiece. But his ping is low enough for him to go and take it all. So if your ping is low, go for it. By the way, this next clip doesn't need to be in here, but I just left it in because of how ridiculous it is. Y'all better not ever let me get 0 ping. This next fight starts off with somebody rushing this wall with a double pickaxe swing, and he just goes in for the insta edit. Notice how he keeps up the pressure by pre-firing just in case his opponent goes for counter damage on him. Also notice how he takes time to cover himself up when breaking these walls. You want to always use windows when trying to break the other player's builds when trying to rush them. And always take shots from some type of peanut butter or window. Do you see how he repositions himself when he edits this window? You don't want to be standing on the ramp. You need a space to move around. So he turned it into a half ramp. You never want to cramp yourself when making window edits like this. You want to always make sure your feet are on the ground, or at least on a flat surface. It would be okay if his opponent was closer to the wall, but he was so far back that if he was on top of that ramp, he wouldn't be able to see him. But his opponent most likely would be able to see his full body. This next clip is what will happen if you overextend yourself and use your pickaxe too much. Also note, just because you're good doesn't mean you can't make mistakes at all. And just because you have to heal up a lot, it doesn't make you a bad player. When you overextend yourself like that, you don't want to continue the fight. You want to try everything you can to get out of the fight. This situation right here is exactly why you always want to hook the left side of a wall. You have to watch out for these type of insta edits, especially if they're a box away. Keyboard players will make this edit in a heartbeat. And the reason he knew he was gonna make this edit was because of how far back he was and that he didn't move. And I know he was just happy to try to edit. Remind you, just because you can do a move doesn't mean you should. But really all he had to do was just pay more attention. And the rest of the game was pretty much free. Remind you, these are opens, so he's going against average players with a mix of really good players, but mostly average, you know. But anyways, I'm gonna let y'all finish the game on y'all own. But anyways, that's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video for the most part, and I'm also sorry for uploading like once a week, but things have gotten a lot better. I can post way more now, so expect to see more videos from me, for real. Like, I'm so serious this time. I'm so serious, for real. And I also want to say thank you to everybody that sticks through like all the way to the end and watches all of these videos, especially the ones that show love. I would not be here without y'all. Thank you for my day ones. But like I said, this is the end of the video. Hope y'all have a good one. Hope y'all have a good day, good night, whatever time it is. Stay safe, also stay dangerous, because you know, you can't let nobody play on your top. Pause. But y'all know what I mean. Peace out, audio, stay blessed, and bye. Drop the feed emoji if you made it this far in the video.